I watched pretty much every single one of Caitlin's games early on because I am a fan. I do like good basketball. And of course, I wanted to see how she would do. Coming out of college and going into the WNBA, we as WNBA players were having basketball conversations. And everybody just took it to another place where we were attacking them as people.
The Birds Sue just made the WNBA clear in the unexpectedly revealing their covert strategy to take down Caitlin Clark from the very start. And no, this was not an error. Calls come up, and this was a full-blown pre-planned circus. The racial undertones and technical errors, Clark did not engage in the blatant targeting. Fate to endure this shambles strategy cooked up by people who couldn't handle her stealing the spotlight.
Don't. And it actually, we talked about this before, like the fan that went hard at Caitlin at the Connecticut Sun game in game 1 or 2, I can't remember, where there was an interaction where the fan almost got ejected. It's like, none of this is okay. And we never accept it. We never accept this on the men's side.
The team of referees led by Kathy Angelbert knew what they were doing exactly, because it appears drama and jealousy are the reasons for support the new WNBA strategy. A rising star when thrown in her face under the bus for a little extra ticket sales, and controversy work well together. The dirty laundry is now out, thanks to the lawsuit. And things don't look good.
Is it okay in our league? Why is it, welcome to mainstream sport?
And reassure yourself, Sue did not reveal the WNBA from a deep, heartfelt sympathy for Caitlin Clark. Let's not kid ourselves. It was a slip-up, a glorious error that was not intended. But hey, who cares? We have the juicy part. Details we always suspected were leaking out from beneath the surface. And now everything makes sense, especially given Bird's recent, not-so-subtle remarks that, sincerely speaking, has done nothing but criticize Caitlin Clark's track record. Dazzling debut season, as you know it, where she almost set the league on fire with stats that the majority of players couldn't dream of in their wildest fantasies.
Knew it was coming. This wasn't a surprise. And not just the comments that the commissioner made a few weeks ago, where she basically implied that the racial tension is good for business and invoking Magic and Bird.
However, Sue decided to wave on her podcast. She dismissed it as unimportant, called the success of the league collective. Sure, Sue, teamwork is what makes a dream come true. Work and all that jazz, but come on, don't behave as though Clark did not alone establish the WNBA on the radar for a new generation of fans.
Television ratings, higher attendance figures. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't come courtesy of a league. It comes courtesy of the players that play in the league. And in her case, she was the most popular, which means she could have helped your bottom line, which means you should have seen that from day one and maximized.
The opposition was quick to pick up on the vibe. Too, was it just Bird philosophizing? Or was she more reserved, pointing a finger at Clark because it sounded like an attempt to get the attention of parade of an individual who has been breaking records all over the place and stealing the spotlight without exerting any effort at all?
It's not good for business. It's never good for business. And sort of sidestep the question about racism and misogyny and hate that the players are receiving online, basically saying, like, don't go on social media, or, it's sort of not real.
After that, the faint whisper is still floating around that this might not just be some innocent commentary. Is it jealous discomfort, or perhaps just hard love from a veteran, or possibly something little more personal? After all, Clark's the rise has not been subtle. Meteoric, she's achieved in a year what some players never come close to in a decade. And let's be honest, with somebody who's been around as long as Bird, seeing a rookie snatch up all the attention might sting just a little. But here's where the heat gets really intense. The larger question concerns more than just Bird's remarks. Concern whether the WNBA leadership itself was quietly working to keep Clark from shining too bright. It might be a conspiracy theory, but let's talk concerning specifics, like the fact that Caitlin Clark, a once-in-a-generation rookie, got her news about winning Rookie of the Year over a phone call throughout practice.
Obviously, not every, they're humans, looking at technology. Basketball is a little more complex than tennis, for instance, around technology of officiating. So we're looking at a variety of different dimensions.
In Connecticut, right before, without fanfare or celebration, the playoff game, hey, congrats over the phone, just like that. She was being informed that her dry cleaning prepared. If that does not scream that we do not would like to make a big deal of you, I do not comprehend. And then there's the officiating.
I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed a three and then I went and hit the backboard. And he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball.
Oh, the officials. Do you remember Clark got a technical foul for lightly hitting the backboard in anger following failing to score? The official actually called it disrespectful to the game in the meantime. Veterans such as Diana Taurasi have done worse and barely got a side-eye from the refs.
Carter nearly picks off the pass, and Diana Taurasi, they'll count the bucket.
The second standard is so obvious that it probably surrounded by neon lights. It looks like they had a single set of rules for Clark and another for the rest of us.
Of college and going into the WNBA, we as WNBA players were having basketball conversations, and everybody just took it to another place where we were attacking them as people.
The symptoms, they paint a picture as the evidence accumulates. That is not only troubling, but also was the WNBA's attempt to maintain Clark held back in fear of her rapid rise. Might cast doubt on the carefully crafted, if so, narrative of collective development that is a decision that is equally perplexing. Self-defeating, Clark's not a threat to the league. She's its biggest asset. She is gaining more and more fans. Ticket sales, boosting TV ratings, all the things that the league absolutely requires, but it would appear that instead of celebrating her, they are reluctant, almost afraid to she shone way too brightly.
And that's, again, where that petty and jealousy live.
But here's the kicker, Caitlin. Clark is not only a member of the story without her. The story would not exist. League would not have witnessed the increase of excitement it is currently enjoying. They might believe that the leadership is protecting the brand in its entirety, doing is putting themselves at risk. Without the players, the brand is nothing. Without the league, there is no audience, no future. The dimmed rookie of the year, the uncertain announcement, Subbirds' dismissive demeanor comments, it all adds up to a message that is both evident and frustrating. Caitlin, slow down and don't rock the boat. However, the truth they must face is as follows. Caitlin Clark does more than just upset people. She is the boat. She's carrying the league to new heights, whether they like it or not. And if they are unable to determine how to accept that they are the ones will ultimately sink.
One thing I want to reset, that we want to reset, and it's the language being used around fans. Fever fans, Caitlin fans, new fans. That actually has to go. That has to go. I understand why at times it's been used. It's kind of just when you're in an interview and you get asked a question, it's kind of easy to go, oh, the FIFA fan base.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? That has to go.
Oh, these new fans. It has to go because it's not the FIFA fans. It's not Caitlin fans.
The commissioner of the WNBA is Cathy Engelbert. Really knows how to stir the pot, and not in a good way. Her leadership style is such as that awkward relative who always says something embarrassing. At her example is gatherings with family. Obsession with league rivalries as golden ticket to being most relevant, glaring and disastrous example being how Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark were framed by her. As basketball's next big thing, rivalries include Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, but do it in an unnecessary way. Racial.
When you have that, you have a lot of attention on you. There's no more apathy. Everybody cares. It is a little that Bird Magic moment, if you recall, from 1979 when those two rookies came in from a big college rival.
Yeah, during a Engelbert's Power Lunch with CNBC interview, made the bold claim that Clark is white, since Reese is black. Doesn't that make sports are exciting? If her objective was reminiscence, she struck the wrong nerve. What instead? She received a torrent of criticism. For making use of racial dynamics as a marketing gimmicky, let's dissect Engelbert's the attempt to get people excited failed. Simply fail. It blew up fans, and she was immediately criticized by analysts for being tone deaf and claiming that she reducing two players with incredible talent to the hues of their skins rather than recognizing their talent. And the kicker, that Clark and Reese have both encountered racist attacks that are disgusting online and at games.
White, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another. It's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players much more so than they were 5 years ago.
Didn't Labor think to address that of naturally not? Rather, she practically stoked the fire, resulting in the situation for both players is made worse by there is nothing that screams progressive leadership. Like selling through racial tension, point-right criticism came rolling in, faster than a Clark three-pointer on their podcast. A touch more, Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe spoke directly to Rappo. Attacked Angel Bird, Accusing her putting flashy marketing ahead of player safety and mental well-being, she essentially stated that racial tension is positive. Rapinoe stated, summarizing for business, everyone had already begun to consider Bird chimed in too, pointing out how leadership seems to care more about headlines rather than solving actual issues like the hostile settings that players encounter daily, you know, the kind of stuff that actually contributes.
From the WNBA's perspective, the WNBA and the league office and Kathy's role specifically is basically to protect and shepherd the league, both from a business perspective, from a player welfare perspective, from a health and safety perspective, and from a growth and investment perspective. And this is where I feel like she's fit.
And let's not forget Engelbert's greatest hits of advice that isn't helpful when confronted regarding players who face hate speech and toxic rhetoric. Her brilliant telling them to stay away was the solution. Genius in social media, because so ignoring the issue always works. Well, it's such an out-of-touch move. Could serve as a meme for players' misogyny and racism on the daily basis, whereas Labor's response is essentially, you tried logging off.
Not come out of college with the same level of popularity, scrutiny, all of it. Nobody has. Caitlyn is one of one. There's zero doubt about that.
However, the issues extend beyond blunders of her racialized marketing. Engelbert's entire leadership strategy has been slammed for being more about optics than substance. Her obsession with competition might seem like a good idea in a meeting about marketing, but in fact it reduces complex athletes into cheap narrative, and when those narratives lean on race, the injury is multiplied instead of highlighting Clark and RE's role as pioneers for the leagues. They have become future Engelbert signs of division that draw attention toward rather than away from their talent. Controversies are unnecessary.
Caitlyn continuing to impress and she's going to break records nonstop for the next couple years. Yeah. It's just going to be a constant record.
It doesn't help that Fan is being fueled by this strategy. The War's sub-bomber received more fuel, with her remarks regarding toxic fans of Caitlyn say that the influx of new supporters of engaging in conflict with the league's long-term community rather than celebrating the increasing amount of interest in the WNBA. Bird's remarks came off as dismissive, rather than excluding fans, bringing them together. Critics have noted how this narrative focuses solely on fan toxicity exacerbates divisions, transforming what ought to be a moment of joy that leads to another disagreement point.
They decided that they were going to let her know she was Rookie of the Year with a phone call in Connecticut during a practice before a playoff game. You can't make this up.
The absurdity. The WNBA has long branded this as itself as a league that is moving in champion of diversity, inclusion, and player opinions. Despite Engelbert's strategies are poking holes in that image faster than they can be patched up by the league. She's relying on racial narratives, putting years of progress at risk and creating a setting that is as dangerous as it is negative for both players and fans. Are asking themselves whether the league's leadership is in line with supposed values. The bottom line, Engelbert's fixation on rivalries and drama on the surface is not just bad publicity. It's a betrayal of what the WNBA stands for, and if she doesn't shift her focus back to the important things, protecting players who work together to celebrate this so-called leadership talent could take the league down a path it may unable to recover from.